Hello, this is Joel Pollak in Jerusalem for Breitbart News covering the war. And you might have wondered, if you followed our coverage, how the Israeli-Palestinian conflict got started in the first place. Well, I'm going to try to summarize it for you in about 2 minutes. Israel has been at the center of the Jewish faith for thousands of years, and Jews have always lived here, even though the Babylonians and then the Romans exiled most of the Jewish population at various periods of time. In the Roman exile, the Romans actually renamed the place Palestine to discourage Jews from coming back. The word Jew actually comes from the name Judea, which was the Roman name originally for this land. But in the 19th century, Jews started coming to Israel and forming new agricultural communities, new towns. They were fleeing persecution in Eastern Europe, and they were also hoping to build a new society. At the same time, Arab nationalist movements were getting off the ground, and the Palestinian Arab nationalist movement was as well. And these two movements came to a head after the First World War, when the British made promises to either side that seemed to be contradictory. The British also made a huge mistake. They put a man named Haj Amin al-Husseini in charge of the Palestinian Arabs, essentially, and he was a violent radical who later sided with Hitler in the Second World War. And he initiated violence against the local Jewish communities that created a pattern that Palestinians have followed ever since, which is that the main way they express their national ambitions is through violence. When Israel declared independence in 1948, for example, the Palestinian Arabs declared war on Israel, as did 5 other Arab states. But Israel survived, and it also gained territory in 1967 when it launched a defensive, preemptive attack against Syria and Egypt, and Jordan joined the fight and lost as well. Israel then traded away the Sinai Desert to Egypt in exchange for peace, and it wanted to do so with neighbors in other ways as well. But the Palestinians were never really amenable to that. They didn't want there to be an Israel more than they wanted to be their own state. And that has remained the persistent pattern, the persistent problem for decades. Gaza is controlled by Hamas, a radical Islamic terrorist group, and it is also funded and armed by Iran, which is why it instigates these wars every few years. And that's how we got to where we got to today. Israelis basically want to live in peace and security, and they want to know that their state is going to be safe. Palestinians still don't accept the idea of Israel by and large, and they don't really want to build their own state. They just want to get rid of Israel. That's how we've reached this impasse, and that's basically a summary of the conflict.